Hello, this is Mark Sabatella from Outside Shore Music. In this video, I'm going to talk about triplets, and not really just any triplet, but specifically a triplet that we often see, a kind of triplet we often see in jazz melodies that are primarily eighth note based, and then somewhere you might see a 16th note triplet notated. And the thing that I want to observe about these is they're not necessarily meant to actually be played as triplets. I think of them as more ornamental. So I have a piece of mine here entitled Pinwheel here, and I'm going to let MuseScore play it, and it's going to play it as an actual triplet, and it's going to be fine. But then I'm going to play around with it a little bit, and hopefully you'll get the idea of what I'm trying to get at here. So first let's hear MuseScore play that literally as a triplet. So, literally a triplet, 16th note triplet. It went by fast enough that maybe you couldn't necessarily tell it was a triplet, but it had a little ornamental quality to it. Well, I'm going to slow it down now, all right? And in fact, I'm just going to let MuseScore play it slowly first. So I'm going to go to 50% here on the toolbar, and we're going to come back and listen to MuseScore play it at 50% of the tempo. That's how MuseScore is playing it. And I'm going to claim that if I were playing it that slow, that's not really what I would want. What I would really want is this line it's the A flat, it goes up to A and comes back to A flat. It's called an upper neighbor figure. That's kind of the technical term for these sorts of figures. We have an A flat, we go up to the neighbor and come back down again. When we have that kind of figure written as like a 16th note triplet, really it's about the main note, the A flat. The upper neighbor is just like a little ornament, and we don't, at a fast enough tempo, we'll just play all three of them the same length. But at a really slow tempo, I'm going to want to hold that A flat about as long as I can, and then kind of play the last couple notes kind of like grace notes. So if I were playing this slow, it might go like this. Right? It's really like a dotted 16th and 2/32, or even a double dotted 16th and 2/64 at that tempo. We really want to mostly hear that. But just that little bit of kind of an ornament, grace notes again for that A natural and A flat at the second and third notes of the triplet. So that is my advice to you when you see that triplet. Don't get hung up on thinking of it as a triplet. For practice purposes, ignore the upper neighbor and the return, and get a sense of what the rhythm is meant to be like if you just don't even play those notes at all. Then you can add those notes in as an ornament and then see what it looks like as you go fast. As you get faster and faster, you could work it out how it's going to go, and it'll eventually kind of, if you get fast enough, they might really be triplets, but just don't think of them as triplets. Think of them as ornaments. That is my advice. Anytime you see that sort of upper neighbor type figure, which is, again, really common in jazz melodies that are primarily eighth note based, you'll just sometimes see those 16th note upper neighbor figures. Treat them as ornaments.